There's a grief that doesn't end, referring to the grief that lingers long after a narcissistic relationship. And more importantly, I want to affirm that if you still feel confused, it's not because you're weak or that there's something wrong with you. It's because what you went through wasn't just a breakup, it was a theft of your reality. Here's what so many people just don't understand. So, this is just as much for those trying to support a friend, a sibling, a child, anyone who has suffered narcissistic abuse, as it is for those who have been through it themselves. When somebody leaves a narcissistic relationship, they're not just mourning the loss of a person, they're mourning the loss of a story that they thought was true. They're grieving the part of themselves that was slowly erased in the process. In a healthy relationship, even when everything falls apart, usually there's a shared understanding of what was real. Even the betrayal, as gutting as it is, it still plays by the rules of truth. What I mean by that is you can point to what happened and say, this hurt me, this was wrong, and you'll be heard. You'll be understood and hopefully validated. And that matters so much. That's what helps us process pain and begin to heal. But in a narcissistic relationship, that's exactly what's missing. The moment you try to name the harm, the narcissist denies it, or they blame you, or they rewrite the story entirely. So instead of any comfort, you're left with silence or a spin. And that lack of acknowledgement, it's a wound all of its own. The pain doesn't come just from what was done to you, but from realizing that you were deceived from the start. That person you loved probably never existed, at least not the way you thought. You weren't just betrayed, you were rewritten, gaslit, manipulated, piece by piece until you no longer even recognize yourself. And so when it ends, the grief isn't clean. It's disorienting. You are not just grieving a relationship, you're grieving your sense of safety, your ability to trust, your perception of the past, and your belief in your own judgment. I want to name something else here that we often don't talk about. The grief of realizing that your loyalty, your kindness, it was used against you. Narcissists don't manipulate people because they're stupid or weak. They manipulate people because they're good, because they're kind, empathetic, loyal, and just so full of hope. You wanted to believe in them so much, and they use that beautiful part of you to further their control. So when it's all over, you're not just angry, you're angry at yourself. You question your sanity. You might even replay conversations back and wonder, how could I have missed that? And worse, you might blame yourself for missing it. But let me say this gently. It was not your fault. The grief isn't just about missing someone. It's about putting yourself back together with the pieces of a story that was never whole. It's grief for the time you lost and the self that you abandoned, the truth that was hidden from you. And that kind of grief doesn't move on in a straight line. It doesn't neatly follow the stages that you might read about in a book. And if you're someone listening who loves or cares about someone who has left a narcissistic relationship, I want to gently ask you to hold this truth. Freedom doesn't mean it's over. Just because your friend, your family member fled the narcissistic situation and got away, it doesn't mean that they're all better. Freedom is such a beautiful thing, but it isn't the finish line. It's the beginning of a tender process of untangling, rebuilding, and learning to trust again. So please be gentle. Whatever you do, Don't ask why they're still struggling. Don't wonder, at least aloud, why they haven't moved on. This is not a lack of willpower or gratitude. It's the natural result of being deeply deceived and slowly erased. That's what they need most from you now. Isn't advice or urgency. It's your presence, patience, and compassion. So if you're the one still struggling, still waking up in confusion or pain after you left, please hear me. There is nothing wrong with you. You're grieving a trauma that cut so deeply. And you're not just healing from what happened. You're healing from the fact that it happened in the first place. And yet there is life beyond this. Not the same as life before, but a life that is honest, grounded, and stronger because now you know, now you see, now you choose yourself. There may always be moments that ache, but healing doesn't mean the grief completely disappears. It means that the grief no longer defines you. You carry it, yes, but now you carry yourself too. If this resonates, I want you to know you're not alone. Whether you're still in it, newly free, or supporting someone who is, thank you for walking this road with me. If you feel moved, I invite you to comment, "I am Annie," in solidarity with every man, every woman rebuilding their truth on account of a narcissistic relationship. For those who don't know me, I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney and author of Undercurrent, a story about a young woman named Annie who finds the courage to break free from her narcissistic marriage and the extraordinary life waiting for her on the other side. But Annie isn't just one person. Annie is any man, any woman who has ever suffered narcissistic abuse. And as always, I want you to know that you are stronger than you ever believed. And I want you to be tenacious and never give up on what's important to you. Thank you again for being here, for walking this journey with me. I appreciate you so much. So until next time, you take care of yourself. Bye.